deve estar usando a IA, a inteligência artificial, no seu dia a dia, não? Para tirar uma dúvida, escrever um texto ou quem sabe criar uma imagem. Mas será que você está usando ela da melhor forma possível, com segurança? A gente traz agora algumas dicas para você ficar ainda melhor nesse universo.
Smarter AI users basically means being more aware of all of those mistakes and try to find a way to combat a lot of the mistakes. A lot of those basically means just double check, and some of them means like be a lot more aware of what you fit into the model and what you take out of it. I think basically thinking about the model from two different perspectives. One is what task you should give to it, and second, once you have a task, what's the right way to instruct the model to do that task are the two different ways I think will help you become smarter users.
I think the 5 things we wanted people to take away from our panel were that 1, LLMs don't really know what you mean. To be really structured when you sort of instruct an LLM or give it an input, make sure that you're very clear about what requirements you might want. The second one was that LLMs hallucinate and are overconfident, so LLMs can generate false information a lot of the time, so it's very important to be critical of the outputs and verify. The third one was about LLMs being privacy liabilities, so LLMs are really bad at knowing who should know what and what is a private versus public thing, but also LLMs also memorized all of the data that they were trained on, which is a lot of the web. So a lot of people's personal information, if it is public somewhere, or if it's just in some website somewhere, maybe not fully public, but just kind of public or accessible, it might be something that the LLM has memorized. After that, we talked about the sort of tendency of humans to over-attribute human-like attributes. We call this anthropomorphism. We tend to think that these things are more conscious than they are, or things like that. There's no evidence of consciousness, so it's important for users to not kind of fall for the words that these systems use, like I think, or I wonder, or things like that. Like the model doesn't think, the model doesn't wonder. Finally, LLMs are still not perfect. They don't work well for everyone, and they don't work well autonomously either. So it's important to kind of think critically about like how you use LLMs, when you use them, who could be harmed if you use them, and having a human in the loop all the time.
And at this point, I think you start to build mental models that are maybe not super accurate on AI systems. Like you use it to refine your email, it did a good job. Now you maybe are start to think, oh, it probably will also do this other random task also very well, when it's not true, just because you feel like you're inducing some kind of capability it has as very capable human-like large model. So that is one thing, like basically you will accidentally start to use the model in ways that you shouldn't. And the second is I think there are a lot of research actually like showing that people are becoming more and more introvert or like antisocial because of how they overuse AI to be their social group or like social support. Younger kids basically just find AIs to be their friends, their girlfriends, their boyfriends, and that's probably not how we want the system to be going. So that is definitely another layer of risk that we want to help prevent.
The issue is that the sort of specific domain knowledge that we might seek, so like medical knowledge or like legal knowledge or things like that, are also not really the most dominant domains that are on the internet. And so these models are not specialized in those domains. It is possible to have AI systems that are better at explaining sort of domain-specific concepts, but a lot of these LLMs are not well suited for that yet. If you're going to be using a system in a specific domain, like a lot, it's useful to just have a system that is already trained for that purpose specifically. So it's like you would go to an expert for an expert question.
You use the model the best when you know what you're looking for. So basically, in an area that you're familiar with, you have an easier time to hit all of the right jargons, all of the right keywords when you do instruction. Just imagine editing email. You probably can say, please be professional, please do not edit what I mean, and all of those things basically help scope the model's output, and also it means that you know what you're looking for. You have an easier time checking that. But like on a domain that you don't know what's going on, you do not hit the keywords, you describe things in random ways, and then the model will try to guess what you mean, and it will guess wrong, and then you won't have a way to check. Like if you ask it a medical question, it probably will say something relevant, but you don't really have the expertise to say this is not exactly what I mean. So like this missing expertise will actually be a really big gap when you move to a domain that you're not an expert on with this language model.
My 3 tips would be critical of how your input and output might lead it to go astray. These models are very brittle. If you lead it with a question, if you say something that's like leading, it might kind of just fall for that in a way, but also it has all these sort of like non-factual problems. So I would be very critical of that. Do not assume that these things are human. They're not. There's no evidence that they're conscious. A lot of that has to do with the fact that they're using language, and language kind of connotes consciousness, but these language models are not they're not conscious, they're just using language. And then finally, they are not that good, so don't fire your staff to replace them with AI.